Is that clock not right?
Yeah, it's not right.
Okay.
Stop.
So do we want to go?
We can go, it's right on here.
I done got up and left.
Okay, so we're over time, right? We can start. Okay, all right. Well, then let's call this thing to order. All right, we could stand Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Echo, echo, echo. Okay, item number 3. Roll call. Bill Shute. Present. Bill Stewart. You out there? No Bill. Hayden Hamilton. Hayden.
Está aquí.
Key. Janine.
Here.
And we don't have to worry about alternate. Okay, moving on. Any public?
There are no members of the public.
Okay, so I get to skip 4. Okay, thank you. And item 5 is not necessary. And moving right along, item number 6, additions, deletions, amendments to the agenda.
One from staff.
Okay. Hayden,
Nope, I have nothing.
Jenny, Nora. Item 7, public comments relating to items not on the agenda. There again, no public, right?
We didn't receive any written comments.
No written. Surprised at that? I'm getting stopped constantly, being asked about all those signs stuck on the side of the road. Okay, everybody should have the October 5th minutes in front of them. If you could take a look. And if I could get a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. You have to do a roll call vote.
Yeah, I got to do a roll call vote because Hayden's.
Aye.
Member Hamilton,
Aye.
member Shute,
Aye.
and member Malakovich.
Okay. We are moving right along. Item 9, Mr. General Manager.
Yes.
Disinfect that.
Is this on? Oh, yeah. Okay. A few things I wanted to update you on. Obviously, you'd mentioned the signs are out, the elections going on. We're getting some calls. I won't step on our customer service report, but every couple of days I'll get an email or somebody that wants to talk a little bit about what's going on and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of interest in it, seems like. I don't know what that means for voter turnout and all that kind of stuff, but obviously the district is kind of bound by no, we can't advocate, we can't spend, that nothing that the district's doing, but we have facts. We have a fact sheet that we can give out that just gives it truly is just the facts of the matter.
Is that the mailer that went, the letter that went out?
And the election notice. So they're similar. That one's more of that was a legal requirement actually from the County Water Act that we had to send those out to each registered voter. So I got one as well. But we put that together, translated into Spanish as well. So that one does lay out kind of similar facts, but again, that was a requirement. But then we have another fact sheet that's really just bullet points, the kind of a timeline too. This happened, this happened, this happened, now this happened. On that note, obviously, election happens on November 7th. We don't anticipate that the election results will be certified until late November, early December, something like that. So either way it goes. But that doesn't really finish the detachment process. I don't know how versed you are in it, but what we are under, the San Diego County Water Authority has sued LAFCO over their LAFCO and all of us, we're all named in the lawsuit. And that is continuing to move forward. We are having had some productive conversations with the County Water Authority. We actually had a meeting, was it Wednesday? No, Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. It's been a busy week. But Tuesday, I believe. And it was really the first one where we sat down with their staff. So their director of operations, their manager of operations, and some of their key technical folks, and really started to talk about what this would look like, right? Physically, what does this look like? And some of the challenges that they've got, right? Hey, if you guys aren't a member agency of ours and you're taking water, here, these are the impacts downstream, and we need to have, we need to keep our SCADA so we can actually see what water's being delivered because it impacts our operations and things like that. So, so there was some pretty good, I would say some good cooperation that was, a good first step, I think, in at least on that front, and that really hasn't happened up until now. So how this thing goes is it does seem fluid, kind of day by day. Some days it looks really good, other days it looks like we're going to be in for a longer fight, to be quite honest. But we've been, I think, from the district's perspective, cooperative in trying to come to some sort of resolution as quickly as possible. And part of that is just that, right? We're going to see this vote, and there's going to be, and communication is going to be key on this. There's probably an expectation that, okay, boom, we did it. There is going to be a time period where, this thing has to get worked through, the physical aspects of it and the actual delivery of water and those kind of things. And for us, we do have some challenges on the south end, just, delivery and things we have to work out with the water authority. I mean, probably best case scenario is 9 months or so until we're actually fully detached and starting to realize those. And that's best case. That's if we're not embroiled in some kind of lawsuit fight. So I know we're going to talk about the newsletter. One unfortunate part of this is not knowing the absolute timing of it, right? That being a little bit timing uncertain. San Diego County Water Authority passed a 9.5% rate increase this past summer, effective January 1st, 2024. We are not in a position to absorb that at this point. And so we are going, and this was all part of our rate setting process. But basically we're just passing through, we've got to pass through those costs to our customers via our rates. And so again, Carlene and Amanda will talk about our newsletter, but we are being very clear on our communication about why we have to do that and what those look like. And so, but it is a little bit of, it's a difficult message, a little bit of a difficult message. So, so we're working really hard on that and trying to get it out to people as early as possible.
Sure.
So, any questions on that? There's a lot there. A lot of it's in closed session and things, but
Right.
we're working on it. Mm-hmm.
You need to turn on your microphone, whoever's speaking.
Oh, there you go. She was asking about Eastern. Are we coordinating with Eastern on this as well? That's a fantastic point. I should have mentioned it. We have a meeting tomorrow with Eastern. So up until this point, it really has been, everybody's kind of been in their corners a little bit, ahead of, any LAFCO decision and all that. I think people politically just didn't want to, hey, we don't want to get involved until it's actually real, right? Until you've actually got a path forward here. But that's part of the talks with the County Water Authority. We kind of cleared that. Hey, we're going to start talking to Eastern about this. And then I think all three of us are likely going to get together next and really start doing those things. So we have an initial meeting, tomorrow. It's just virtual, but with same kind of a thing. One of their assistant general managers or deputy general managers that oversees their engineering and operations side, their director of operations and those kind of folks. So that's exactly what's happening tomorrow is, again, the beginning of those conversations. It was good that we had the meeting with San Diego because, obviously now we can share some of those same things. Hey, here's a couple of issues that we have to deal with as we're getting ready for this. So they're aware too, but both agencies, they do things a little bit differently. And so, that these are important. To be honest, it would have been nice if these would have happened a year ago. But that just wasn't available. So now we're pushing hard.
Well, and a lot of people don't want to expend the energy upfront if we
Yes.
don't know if it's actually going to come to pass.
That's true. That's true. So that's the first thing. We have a field trip next Wednesday. We're gonna go out to Skinner, some of us. And that's a pretty key facility. I don't know. I'm kind of a water geek, so I love.
Really?
I am. But I think a lot of people don't understand, like we do. We actually sit in a very fortunate spot where we're, access to Skinner, which has both treated water and untreated water. So you have kind of options there for water supply. We sit right below Diamond Valley Lake, which has 6 months of emergency storage for this entire region. But Lake Skinner is really where a lot of our water comes through. And it takes water both from the Colorado River and the State Water Project. So, at times it'll be heavy on the Colorado. Right now it's about a 50-50 blend. So that's why we're seeing kind of the lower TDS. And I know our farmers are happy about that, but an incredible facility, because if you remember last drought, so a year or so ago, those areas that were only supplied by the State Water Project, which is the stuff that comes from up in the north of the state, they got some pretty severe cutbacks because there was significant issues up there. Storage dwindling, and they were concerned about another dry year, which obviously didn't come to pass. We had a historic year. And actually Met's working on fixing that. They've spent a ton of money and effort actually extending facilities into those areas now. So with the idea that kind of everybody shares equally. But again, very fortunate. And so it was actually Julie Johnson that asked, "Hey, can we take a tour of this?" Oh, that's a great idea. It's such it's a cool facility. So anyways, we're going to tour that treatment plant. We're all going to also see Vail Lake, which really doesn't fit into our water supply per se, but it's a pretty cool water resources project, really cool area. And we're going to be right there anyway. So we're going to tour Vail Dam and Vail Lake too. So that's next week. I already talked about the pass-throughs. Yesterday I had a meeting after our board meeting on crop swap. And I don't know if you guys if you familiar with.
We've talked about it before, but please go ahead.
Okay, good. So it was about, I think there was 7 or 8 of us in the room, general managers, utility directors, all of this area, Valley Center, Rainbow Fallbrook, Oceanside, Rancho, but everybody with an ag component. Uema, and Escondido. I think those were the ones that were in the room. Rancho secured $5 million in grant funding for this crop swap program. And so really they're developing, and it was a great time for a meeting. I thought they did a great job to get us all in the room, because it's not completely developed. I mean, they had a pretty good framework, and they've done this in the past. So they're kind of using that framework, but now it's kind of more of a regional thing. But getting us in the room, and everybody kind of we have our own issues, right? We all have different water supplies. We have different, those kind of things, and kind of getting all those on the table. And it really kind of got to a point where I think we understand how the program would be administered. Got to work out the details. But in essence, there's going to be kind of a small buy-in, because there's some things you have to do, right? You have to, their proposal, and I think it's smart. They're going to build a website for it, and then have like one central administrator, right? And it's basically a temporary that they would hire, right, to administer the program, but it would help all the participants. So kind of a smaller buy-in. We talked about, maybe it's 25,000 or something. They're going to work out the numbers, but something like that. Not that that's small, but for a $6-7 million program to be key participant, which I think it could be very beneficial to our, our region here. And then it would be, there's additional administration costs because there's site inspections and things you have to do. Those would be, and a lot of it's covered by the grant. So a lot of these administrative functions are covered by the grant as well. But any costs that, would be incurred, it would be proportional based on who's using the program, right? If you use all $5 million, well, you got, then you're going to cover these other costs. So it's all still being worked out. But I think everybody was pretty excited about it. And, really based on efficiency, gaining efficiencies. But, from our perspective with declining demands, we've seen that for years now. I mean, it's just a fact that and it does put pressure on, smaller demand and same infrastructure that we have to maintain and replace and and those kind of things. It's kind of a long-term play, right? Where, our farmers get help. Basically you can exchange your avocados. So take out old trees, and that's what I'm hearing from the farmers too. I talked to Del Rey, and they actually kind of explained, I was telling them about the program, and they were saying, that is actually one of the problems. You have 25, 30-year avocado farms, big trees, maximum water use, but now they're losing productivity, right? And so now they start losing money, or not as productive as they once were. If you can replant, and within 3 or 4 or 5 years, those things are moneymakers again, right? Even if they're paying our full water rates, right? They don't have a well or whatever. So that's what we heard from them. And for us, the demand doesn't go away, right? I mean, you're going to get some short-term conservation, right? Lower water use, which is part of the program. That's part of the draw of the program. But it's also irrigation efficiencies, so all new irrigation and better techniques and all those kind of things. But long-term, it keeps the groves healthy, right? So we're selling water and doing those things, and it keeps our farmers sustainable. So anyway, I was pretty excited about the program. Probably bring that back in December to our board, just to give them an update, and that's what I got.
Okay. Well, good. Any questions? Hayden?
Nope, no questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Item 10, committee member comments. We start online.
I have none.
Okay. So I guess, let's see. On the, I had a question here. Oh, so I think my comment is really about the update and the process that's gonna happen with as we go through the detachment. And you've mentioned the increase that's coming, that we have to will take effect in January. I think I remember reading an article about Escondido City Council just passing a multi-year price increase, and there was a lot of unhappiness there. But I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of questions in the community if this thing is it goes forward with, what does it really mean to us? And, how do I know that, the savings that were talked about, in the election materials and the information that's been, how does that then manifest itself to them? And so I think, I'm not part of the discussions that have happened with regards to this, but from a communications committee standpoint, I think we need to have a really comprehensive plan to talk about whether it's, fixed fees, how things change over multiple years, how price increases happen that we can't affect, what type of investments need to be made in our infrastructure, what kind of monies need to be redirected to those kinds of things. Because I think that's all the stuff that's popping into people's heads right now. It's saying, if we write a check to leave on an annual basis, then what happens? to us. And so that 5-year horizon type of a thing, if there's some type of a communication approach that we can take to say, this is what you kind of should expect if everything goes according to plan. I think there are water geeks out there that care how this thing's going to play out. I think a lot of people in the community, just from my experience, they think it's going to be the district's going to be better off for it, but they have no visibility to how it really will happen. So, if we have something that's going out, again, assuming this thing moves forward, about the progress that's being made, and these constant updates about what's going to happen, what has happened, those kinds of things, I think are going to be really important to those. So
Yeah, that's great.
Bill, if I can step in there, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The problem that we're wrestling with is the final T's and C's haven't been determined.
right.
So it's hard to put a comprehensive plan together when the variables are changing on you. But there is one thing I think we need to start ASAP in communications, and that is setting an expectation as to what detachment means and when it might possibly occur. Because if I go to the ballot next week, to the poll next week and vote for detachment, and it's announced the end of November, 1st of December, that detachment has been validated by the ratepayers. And then I get a notice that says, oh, there's a 9% increase pass through that you're going to get.
It's putting it all in perspective. Yeah.
So we need to start setting some levels of expectation as to how fast this can possibly occur.
Right. And that is our messaging that's going out in November. So that's exactly what we've been working on. Same concerns.
Yeah.
Same concerns here.
When we
So
go to item 15, we'll talk about the approach in the newsletter,
Okay.
but that addresses exactly what you were just discussing and exactly what Hayden was just discussing about. Their first question is going to be how's this going to affect my bill? Why am I still paying a water authority?
You told me my rates were going down and I just got a bill increase.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with what's being said, and I appreciate the stuff that can go into the newsletter. I would just I would suggest to management that the communication committee can be a sounding board for a comprehensive communication plan around this that goes beyond newsletter communications.
Yeah.
So please utilize us to help. A lot of us have a lot of communications experience, and we're volunteers and we love water in the district, so we're more than willing to help.
appreciate that very much.
That's my
One other thing we are doing is, and this was Tracy's, going to host a budget workshop in January to where, and the hope is we have a lot more clarity, even at that point on timing and really can start to build those things in exactly what you're talking about, infrastructure funding, reserve, building reserves, the things that really need to happen. So that's another thing we're doing, but appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, I mean, there are things that I am sure we said in all of our positioning and everything that the position that we made as far as pro detachment, right? That went through the process and with the consultants and all the things that happened. But once we're clear of all of this, we should probably be freed up to have the ability to say, hey, this is what's going to happen next year and the year after that. And by the way, this is where your money's going. And this is the cost avoidance that we've already seen, because this is what would have happened if we hadn't. So it's unfortunate it took as long as it did. And it's unfortunate that we're still stuck, getting, hit with these increased costs. But these are all the benefits that you're getting and continue to get over this period of time and will get in the future. Because that will constantly reassure the ratepayers that it was the right decision.
Right.
And that, it may not be as, as a perfect situation as they'd want right then, but boy, are they dodging a bullet that's happening, or that's coming, or maybe is occurring for other ratepayers within the county that we aren't.
Right.
So I think we just gotta keep, we gotta keep
it on.
communicating and
Yeah.
selling this, right? As far as the
Yeah.
benefits that they're gonna get. Okay. All right, moving on, item 11, quarterly customer service metrics.
All right. So this is going to be from July to September. So you'll see in July we had 890 calls. And then in August, it jumped up to 996. That was because of the rate increases that took effect July 1. Because August was the first bill that they received with the rate increase. And then in September, it drops down a little bit to 938. So it's pretty consistent. So like around the 900 range is where we're typically at. Average talk time, again, pretty consistent. So July, 4 minutes, 20 seconds, August, 4 minutes, 30 seconds, September, 4 minutes, 10 seconds. So pretty consistent on the amount of time that we're spending on the phone with our customers. And this is going to be the average hold time. So basically in July, about 47 seconds, average hold time, August 50, and then 46 back in September. So pretty good. I strive for anything under a minute. If you're on hold for less than a minute, I think we're doing a good job.
Yep. These are not tenths, they're actually seconds.
These are seconds. Yeah, we made a revision, and I don't think it made it to this one here, but yeah, these are actually seconds. So 47 seconds, 50
Okay.
seconds.
I mean, it's still good. It just, without a axis label. Oh, it does say seconds. I'm sorry. Never mind. I'll go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's 50 seconds. So, yep. So that's what we're striving for. Just keep it pretty consistent. So anything under a minute is what we're striving for.
Sure.
That's it for the calls, and I'll give another update in 3 months from now.
Okay. Yeah, and could we just, when you do the last quarter, can you maybe add one other slide just to show, the year trend?
Like kind of comparing.
Yeah, just so we can see the, if you have more periods, we'll get a better trend line. That
Yeah,
would be great.
absolutely.
In addition, super. Any questions on item 12? Aiden?
No.
Okay. Or excuse,
Yeah, that was
that
item
was
11.
11. I misspoke, 11. Okay, moving on to item 12, customer service survey update.
Okay, so it's been a while since we've shared the results of the customer service survey. So we pulled it again. So 34 of the responses were left over from the Avocado Festival, and we've had 21 responses so far from what we promoted on our website, through our newsletter, et cetera. And then 2 responses from people who took it in the lobby at the little kiosk that we added next to our customer service counter. And 84% who started it finished it. So the question, are you aware of our efforts to detach? 83% said yes. And that's stayed pretty consistent across the months. This is April has the most responses because that's when the Avocado Festival took place, and all the other ones are through the web link after the fact. The top 10 topics of concern, that top bar there is rates, water quality, billing accuracy, supply reliability, water use efficiency, drought restrictions. So, all of these things are important to them, but it hasn't changed. The fact that rising rates is their number one concern. 77% said that. Do you feel like the district cares about your concerns? Only 24% said no, and the rest were either yes or somewhat. I'd like more to be solidly yes, but
So how do we impact 38%?
yeah. Yeah, that's part of our overall communications strategy, right? Is to make sure that that we're sharing what we're doing to address their concerns and address especially the rates. Ratepayer contact the district. 37% of the people who responded to the survey had contacted us in the past year. And 2/3 had not. How well did we understand your questions? Again, only 22% said not so well. Everything else was some variation of a positive response, very well, somewhat well, or extremely well. We have that kind of that same ratio of about 28% in the somewhat category that we'd like those to bump up, but at least we've got 3/4 in the ballpark of 3/4 that is a somewhat positive response.
And remind me, in the not so well, was there on the survey tool, was there anything for free form about why, what went not so well?
There wasn't a question about why, but there was a free form later in the survey when we asked if they had any unresolved concerns, if they wanted staff to follow up with them. We gave them the opportunity to leave their contact information, and no one did. So. How promptly did we address your concerns? Most said immediately, or same day. 1 day to 1 week was 22%. 6%, between a week and a month. 6% said more than a month, and then 28% said not yet resolved. And this is where we had that follow-up question. If your issue hasn't been resolved, please leave your contact information and a staff member will follow up with you. No one did. No one left information. So
It's not resolved and I don't want it resolved.
Right,
The
so
issue was
it-
high rates. It's not getting resolved on a phone call.
right, exactly. There are some issues that the customers want things that we're just not, it's against our admin code to provide them with what they want, or something like that. So that it's possible that some of those responses are related to issues like that.
Okay. All right, questions on the customer service survey?
I have one, excluding the avocado festival where potentially some of the people that took the survey weren't actually ratepayers. Why is roughly 20% of the population unaware of detachment?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So at the avocado festival, we when we engaged with members of the public, we asked them first, are you a ratepayer? And if they,
Right.
yes, we invited them to take the survey. But
Survey.
so we're hopeful that everyone who took the survey was in fact a ratepayer. Yeah.
That still doesn't explain a 20% lack of knowledge of detachment after 4 years.
Sorry, more than half of respondents from the survey were actually from that time period at the end of April. So it may have perhaps been just a timing issue where we had not yet rolled out our communications about detachment, all of the various articles that have covered, June through now. The majority of our respondents were during that time period, and we have a trickle in of, 4 or 5 every month. So it's just a percentage change from time to
Well,
time.
if you can click back to that slide, that was why I said exclusive of the avocado festival. If you look, there's still a kind of a running average of roughly, 20% in here that aren't quite aware of detachment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we had the vote in July, and once the LAFCO vote in July, and after the LAFCO vote, we're in that phase where we're allowed to inform but not advocate.
Sure.
So, and I know we had the town hall meeting scheduled in May. Part of the Avocado Festival communication strategy was promoting that town hall meeting. So
what this is indicative to me is that those that are not knowledgeable obviously are not being reached by our communication campaigns. They're not reading the newsletter. They're not reading the village news. They're not listening to the news on TV. So I don't know how you reach them, but it's kind of interesting that there's a portion of the population out there that we're somehow failing to reach.
yeah, and this is part of what Amanda and I have on our plans for later this year is to, start a strategic communications plan that the district has never gone through that
Yeah, that's a
process
good idea.
before. And, you know, we don't have a social media policy or strategy. And that's also part of our plans, because I think that there's a large part of the population that gets their news from social media. And we're
Not
absent,
there.
really, on social media, aside from promoting, you know, job opportunities and things like that. So I think that that's going to need to be a component of our communication.
Anyway, it's I recognize it's a challenge, but I wanted to highlight it in terms of, you know, it's, and I think you're having a master plan in place is a very good idea. But somehow there's a portion of the community that we're not reaching, and I think we need to try to understand why.
Thank you.
Well, they got a ballot.
Maybe we add an additional question to the survey, for example. What is your primary source of information? Social media, news, newspaper?
Yes, because I think after the election, maybe this question about are you aware will probably be, you know, less. So we can definitely adapt the survey.
But it can be morphed to, are you up to date, informed? There's got to be something about, back to what we were talking about.
How do you prefer to
before.
receive information?
Information, yeah.
You understand what's happening with detachment if it goes through, right? So
Yeah.
it could be a question like that. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
My only comment is, if I had taken the survey, I would have given really high grades with regards to, I remember going to my mailbox. I have like a half-mile drive in my little Kawasaki to get to my mailbox. And I remember looking over and I'm like, what is that yellow pipe with the little handle thing that's bent all the way over? And I'm like, I kind of saw that one over by my there's a fire hydrant over there, and I saw another one over by my friend's lemon grove. And all of a sudden, within a few days, seemingly, I got a notification that they were shutting water off in my neighborhood, and somebody had backed into this thing, and it was the water turnoff for a pipeline that was by my house, and the guys were in and out fast, few hours. The whole thing was done, moved it so it wouldn't get run over again. I don't know, some UPS guy. So if I had been filling out the survey, I would have given you guys very high marks. So thank you.
Thank you. You still have the opportunity. It's linked on our website.
Okay. But it does, is that appropriate? Okay, moving on, community events update.
Hand this off to Amanda.
So today we had the Bonsall High School STEM students visit the district. It was a small group of 12 students who met here in the boardroom, and then were taken to each department to review engineering, finance, IT, operations, and they really got a hands-on experience as to what our team does, the equipment that's involved, insight into, you know, the process before you turn your tap on, what goes on behind the scenes, and how STEM careers actually, you know, thrive in our environment. There was also a short presentation from Palomar College, who provided programs that in their water technology division, and how they can receive certification. It's a hybrid program, and students were able to actually begin taking courses in high school and can carry those over. But the overall feedback was that students enjoyed our operations team, mostly the wastewater demonstration. And this is the photo here of students looking down into a manhole, and it may have just hit the 5 senses there, because the smell definitely stayed with them to that degree. And we also have an update. Our grant application with MET was submitted last month, so it is under review, and we'll hear more about that.
Great. Awesome. I got to just sit in on the last couple of presentations. I apologize I couldn't be here more this morning, but I think it's great. I think this type of activity, you know, our involvement with the local high school and the other grades as well, I think is good. And, you know, more teachers and administrators see this type of a program, then I think it just keeps spreading. So it's good.
Yeah.
It's good for us, them too.
I have two comments. First one is I perceive an opportunity here if we were to videotape and highlight the program in a short video, similar to what we did with the helihydrant. There's potential for a CSDA recognition and award for this program. And the second one is, I think Jake should relate his comments that he made to the board yesterday about this program. Put you on the spot, Jake.
Was it about the scholarship thing?
About visiting the school and having the kids talk to you about the program.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did this scholarship event, Bonsall. It was over at Bonsall Elementary, but it was for Sullivan. All the middle schools and the high school. Bonsall does a great job too. They've started this program called the Forward Initiative, I believe it's called. And what they're doing is for kids that are interested in STEM careers, and in particular, underrepresented groups, women and minorities, and kind of focus on that, not exclusively, but there is a focus there. But starting in from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade. So these aren't kids that are just, there was a couple 11th, 12th graders in there that are definitely pursuing, certain STEM careers, and they handed out these scholarships, but there was 6th graders, 7th graders, not as large scholarship awards. But the whole program is focused on, just developing that, like, hey, there's a path here for you, and keeping them excited about continuing to pursue that. But that's what I kept hearing when I said, I went around and met kind of all the scholarship recipients, and I got to sit with one and presented them the award and all that kind of good stuff. It was really, really fun event. But each of them a bunch of them had come through this program, and they just had talked about how cool it was. I remember the pipe in the ground, and just how memorable the experience was. So so I think it's really having an impact, at least locally. And I love the college stuff too, that, because they have water, certificate programs at Palomar and those kind of things. And so those can be, that's great resources for us to, because that's what, you keep hearing across the state where, lack of qualified applicants, coming into, especially, water operations and careers like that. And I think people just don't know, right? People just don't know that the great jobs that are available in water. So, and I did my best to promote, working at the water district, and so anyways.
Yeah, part of what I emphasize is that we have careers at every education level. So, from high school graduate to some college, getting a certificate, becoming a welder, all the way up to, engineering degrees or masters in public administration. We have careers and positions at every one of those levels, whether you like to work outside, whether you like to work inside with people, with numbers. We've got a job that could potentially fit. So we're hoping that we will get that grant application, and if we do, it will help fund things like we purchased scale rulers and calculators, and they got little wastewater poop emoji stress balls today, and
Nice.
things like that. And
I don't have one of
our IT department gave them our Arduino chips, but there's this really cool STEM kit that we'd like to be able to give the participants too. So those are the types of things that if we get the MET grant, we'll be able to let them take home some more tangible reminders of their visit that we hope will encourage them to think again about it and remember it down the road when they're making their career choices.
Well, I think the points that you made were very good, and I don't think a lot of high school kids really think if they're not like 4-year college bound, going off, applying to 27,000 colleges or universities throughout the country, they're not thinking about what jobs are around me here. Where can I work that I'm going to get a good wage? I've got benefits. I got I get training, I get education, assistance and those kinds of things. They're not thinking about $400 or $500 a month in gas because they have to drive 20 miles one way to find a job. They, that those types of things are really important when you think of the economics of where people are going to live and where they're going to work. It's like a little hidden secret, right? These types of jobs, what's required and what's needed within the community for them to be able to, if they want to stay here. I mean, some people obviously don't, but others might not think there are those types of jobs available, right? So that visibility, that is great. It's wonderful. So good job. Okay.
And then here's a recap of our North County Fire Open House. A few weeks ago, we had team members come very early in the morning to Station 1 in Fallbrook. We had the opportunity to pass out information on our healing hydrant. We had a survey opportunity for people to take using our QR code. And we gave away most of our inventory of promotional items. A lot of the kids loved our Mr. fans and took those and ran with them. We were able to network with other emergency response teams, meet with their fire captain, and see demonstrations from their helicopter landing. There was a live a hose demonstration where kids got to partake in putting out a fire of like a little mini playhouse. So it was overall a really great event for us.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Any questions or comments from the committee on item 13, the community events update?
No.
Hear none from Hayden. Okay, moving on. 14, Flume.
So this week, Carlene and I met with the Flume team to review our current contract and view the results of a survey that was sent out to all of our current Flume residents who are using the device. And we found some significant numbers here. We've had 727 units sold to date. There are a total of 476 users, but only 368 have actually fully installed.
What is up with that?
So 368 have started the installation process. So maybe they went to their meter, decided to, connect it to the bridge, but they didn't quite connect to the app. So somehow there was a hiccup with installation or perhaps technology being a roadblock for them. So we only have 185 fully installed and connected where they are receiving updates on a daily basis. And
We
can
gotta
go in
fix this
and view their usage by hour, by day, by month.
minute by minute.
Yes, and it is a wonderful opportunity for our ratepayers to view their actual water usage in real time data. Our current contract includes 1,000 units, so we've sold 727. The district pays $99 and our customer pays $49. That's where we stand right now. And that's
So I expect a slide that's gonna have a plan of how we're gonna reach out to all of these users that have
Well,
not installed. It's
we do-
Oh, yeah.
Am I leading into the next
You'll
slide?
see the survey does delve into some of the reasons why
Okay,
they haven't installed it completely.
Okay, so the survey was deployed last week and we received 82 responses.
Amanda, can you speak into your microphone a little more directly? I'm having troubles hearing you.
Sure. The survey was sent out last week and it concluded on Monday. We received a total of 82 responses. 45% said that Flume had a positive impact on their water usage. 69% of our users said Flume changed their outdoor water usage. So a lot of them had a lot of timers that maybe weren't working or they were overwatering, and that was a big component of their driving up their water bill.
and what was the respondents came from what pool? Just Flume?
Flume customers. So Flume sent the survey out to the customers who had purchased the device.
Really, I didn't see one.
I did, but I didn't fill it out because I didn't know. Okay,
So 73% reduced their outdoor watering days. So they adjusted from having, every other day or every few days. 82% were able to detect a leak, which is huge. That's our entire drive of, pushing this out to our ratepayers. 44% of users identified a leak within 1 day. That's significant.
that's good.
So the overall satisfaction was 78% from the survey respondents.
Alrighty.
And of those that didn't install, the most common issue was Wi-Fi connection, difficulty with installation, and the meter being too far away from Wi-Fi connection. So meters that are 1,000 feet away from the residents are having a really hard time connecting, or they have intermittent connection. Some days it works, others it does not. The installation was a huge part of the response where people were frustrated. It was a challenge with technology. They did not know what to do, and the issue of Flume not having immediate customer support. So there is not a direct phone line they can call into to troubleshoot.
Yeah.
And Wi-Fi was the biggest response on difficulty there.
So that's the customer's Wi-Fi connection.
So I must be on the extreme range for the bridge, because it's the bridge that has the distance capability, and I'm about 700 feet from meter to bridge.
Yeah, it's supposed to, I think we were initially told it would reach about 1,000 feet, but we do have, a lot of ratepayers whose properties are large, and it's
Yeah.
far away and they're having trouble connecting. And even if it's not that far away, that there's issues with the batteries that we're going to talk about that was
Well,
contributing.
there's also issues with Wi-Fi connectivity in the county. I mean,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So these were the areas of concern. Short battery life was our top issue there. The high cost of replacement for the battery, difficulty with installation, Wi-Fi connectivity, inconsistent reporting. Some of our respondents said there was a leak, but there wasn't, or the leak would come through every 3 hours, and it was just consistently, that same schedule. So the reliability was an issue for them. Flume 1 unit was in need of replacement. So when we first came on to sign our contract, Rainbow was the very first client for Flume. So with that comes some hiccups of they're developing the devices, they're updating software. So those Flume 1 units are in need of replacement. And the last one was they were unable to replace the battery. And a lot of those were, there's 12 screws on the very first Flume unit. So the trouble of going through and unscrewing was a bit cumbersome for our customers there.
So they're at
Driver.
2.0.
and battery life is a very, at least on the Flume 1, because I'm still on the Flume 1. Short battery life is very dependent on what type of battery you use. If you use the silver energized batteries, they last a long time. If you use a Rayovac or a Kirkland battery, it lasts about a month and a half.
And they said that the distance from the Wi-Fi contributes to the battery life as well. So those that are further away, they're going to have to change the batteries more often.
And is there a differentiation between who's on Flume 1 and who's on Flume 2?
We don't have that data, and they couldn't provide us with that data.
Okay.
They had to replace the Flume 1 because it sounded outward.
Mhm.
And even with the battery, so. And it was okay for the first, the battery went down very soon, within an inside year. Because I'm about 75 feet from my wife.
Hey, Bill, speak into your microphone.
Sorry, sir.
I'm about 75 feet from my Wi-Fi. My battery went down, Hayden, in a year on my Wi-Fi on my 2. And so I ordered new batteries. They were very expensive, and battery pack is what they sent you. I put it back in, and I've had trouble staying connected for some reason. Maybe it's because I'm far away, but I've had trouble staying connected, and it goes on and goes off. And
So don't upgrade to Flume 2 is what you're telling me.
well, if you've got a Flume 1 and it's still working, that's great. The only trouble is those bloody screws.
Yeah,
Trying to get the thing apart to put the new batteries in, or takes.
yeah, but I've learned if I use those Energizer Bunny batteries, the silver ones, they'll last about 8 months. So I only have to do it once or twice a year instead of every other month.
Right.
Okay.
And Flume asked, do you have a need to call Rainbow with any questions or concerns? So 39, roughly 40% were neutral, 33.8% agreed. And we have had a series of calls with Flume where our ratepayers are frustrated with the lack of guidance available to them. So oftentimes it's either our team has to try to troubleshoot on the phone, or our meters crew is out there trying to assist with repairs while they're just out in the community. So we try to help as much as we can, but Flume does not have a customer care team. But that's one of the challenges here. They only have a option to request a call where you fill out an online form to then have them follow up and call you, but there's no immediate-
phone number that a customer can call. It's
Oh, yeah.
web chat
Yeah.
only. And so customers who prefer to speak to a live person, they're calling us instead of calling Flume. So sometimes our customer service reps are just filling out the form on the Flume website to schedule the call for Flume to follow up with them.
So
Okay,
that was a hiccup that we did discuss with them, the opportunity for them to provide service, but they don't have any immediate customer service there.
all right.
Okay, and here are some solutions that we came up with while brainstorming with the Flume team. The first option is to add 2 batteries to the unit. So from here on out, every unit sold would have an additional 2 batteries. So that would help curb the
Mhm.
issue of battery longevity. The initial cost is actually $19.99. They could reduce it down to $18.99 for us. So we could either modify the front end cost to the customer from $49 to $69, or the district could cover the cost of $18.99. So that would be $5,000 more on our contract to adjust the battery issue.
For the
Okay.
devices left on our 1,000 in our contract.
And you can see here the pricing that we have. So retail $199, we are given a discounted price of $148, customer pays $49, and we pay the $99.
And they're giving us $1 off,
Yes.
Yeah, of the
the first customer, and they're giving us $1 off.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, and these are all for Flume 2s.
Yes, yeah, they're only
Okay.
doing the Flume 2 installations now, or
Alrighty,
that's what they're selling.
And we did request that Flume perform some research on their end to try to identify who is on Flume 1, who's on Flume 2, and how we could possibly address those outdated devices so that we can keep customers still on the Flume plan while
Mhm.
giving them an upgrade. Option 2 here was we work on some outreach. Provide some website links to YouTube tutorials that Flume has and post those on our website with an FAQ sheet to address the most common questions that we are receiving from our ratepayers. And then have a button that, directly links up to the Flume request for a call. Our overall feedback from our operations team is that they are a bit difficult to deal with. There's a lot of technology involved, potential for liability with Flume because it is a third-party application. We want to make sure that we're providing our ratepayers with every opportunity to engage with Flume and use their tools as a resource for installation and troubleshooting.
okay. All right. Well, let's stay on this topic then. Well, I'm an outlier because I thought it was really easy to put Flume in. I mean, my house is farther back on my lot, so it's a little closer to my meter, but still it's far away. That low frequency communication thing seems to work pretty well for me, but I get it. If you've got a huge property, there could be an issue there, and then it's just not going to be. But I mean, if we have a lot of customers that we've subsidized a device for that just may not be app savvy, we got to figure out a way to help them, right? Because it's probably just as simple as, making sure they have the right app updated, downloaded on their device. You go to your Bluetooth and find your Wi-Fi, and you find that little device and you click on it. I find the chat to be very helpful with those guys. I get on chat with them, they respond immediately. So I'm chatting with somebody if I've had an issue. And my batteries in my 2 have been lasting very, very well. And I'm getting a ton of data constantly. So I definitely can be an outlier on that. But I would just think that if we can figure out if it's in that survey, if it's more of a setup issue. And if we have how-to videos and things like that, and the battery, changing batteries out on the new one is a piece of cake. I love the screwdriver that they gave me on the first one. That's a German screwdriver that's got that's a nice screwdriver. That's a keeper. So until we have something different, this is, I think it's immensely valuable to our ratepayers to have visibility to this data, whether it's a running toilet or a broken sprinkler line or a leak in their main or their main line. I've had all of those things, and Flume has helped me with each one of those. So something like this we need. This is what we've got now. So I think we've got to maximize, because the district has paid for these, subsidized these devices, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we want, if we're gonna invest in that, we want to get, you know, our money's worth, and we want it to benefit the customer, and they can't benefit from it if they never install it.
Does Flume have YouTube videos on how to install?
Believe so, yes. Yeah, they do. So we're gonna, you know, add links to those YouTube videos from our website, and the Flume FAQ sheet, and the link to schedule a support call with Flume if they need to.
And our meters team often refers to those YouTube videos while they are demonstrating how to install the device. So it leaves them with, you know, a little bit more guidance in the event that it is a reoccurring issue.
Right.
Do we have?
It's not difficult.
No,
I mean, the installation, you just strap it on to the meter and you're done.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi, whether or not people have extenders.
Yeah.
They can boost the distance for their Wi-Fi, or they may or may not know those exist.
well, I mean,
They're not tech savvy, they're not.
right, but that little box that's got the antenna on it can be in your house. It doesn't have to be far from your Wi-Fi. If they're having Wi-Fi issues, then they're having difficulty getting that little box to attach to their Wi-Fi before it sends the the transmission out to the meter. So it seems like that would be an easy hump to get over for some of these people.
It just depends on where your router is. Cause my connector is in the garage, the router's in the master closet, which is on the other end of the house. So it depends on how that goes.
Location and that kind of stuff.
And if you have an extender that helps boost it so that it'll connect. So sometimes it takes a little more effort for them, and if they're not into trying to figure it out.
I just wonder, do we have access to, of the 787? I mean, we know the numbers, right? These people they've not connected, they've not installed. Do we know who those people are? Is that?
We don't have access to the
Okay.
customer data because they're the ultimate customer. We get an invoice from Flume every month for the number of devices that, you know, we've agreed to subsidize.
Got it.
But the customers are customers of Flume. And so they have the contact information and the data of. you
Well,
know,
we
who
could send
purchased.
something to Flume to say, please send this communication to those customers that received a device from
Probably.
us,
Mhm.
and
We
we'll just
can-
do
Right.
that route, right?
Yeah.
They also send free reminders to the ratepayer to push them to install. You've started the process, you know, if you need help, you know, they follow up with some of their resources. But they do have an automated email chain that goes through to remind them.
If you're paying $100-$200 for a device to automate something in your home, you're probably going to install it. If you're only paying a little bit of money because the water district paid the rest, you may not have as much of a, you don't get the benefit you're going to get on water savings. And you may be letting it sit there in a box too, right?
Mhm.
And you're going to fill out a form that say, oh yeah, it's it's hard to install because it's still in the box.
So with regards to the battery issue, they did recommend, you know, one of the things they can do is go ahead and include that second set of batteries with the initial shipment. So between the option A, you know, increasing the customer cost to just pay it. So they're buying the first battery replacement set at the same time they buy the device, essentially, or the district could subsidize that. Does the committee have a recommendation on, you know, what you think the best approach would?
Does the
would be?
device take 2 batteries? Or you're just giving?
This
them
would-
the
Sending a
battery?
spare.
The
Backup
backup,
for-
because some of the challenges they're having and the feedback from the survey is that the battery life isn't as long as it could be, especially with these Wi-Fi challenges and the difficulty of replacing them. They also mentioned that the customers aren't always replacing them with the kind of batteries that the device is designed to work best with. And so when they're using lower quality batteries, they get a less ideal result.
But that sounds like
So-
all Flume One, right? Flume One.
No,
could
this is,
pick-
I think even for Flume 2.
But
Yeah.
Flume Two is that it's a battery pack. You can't, you have to buy it from them. You can't put some Duracell in there.
Exactly.
so
That's what they're saying, that they want to send the second battery pack with the initial shipment.
How
Because
long will
some
that-
customers are experiencing that it's only lasting a couple of months.
It's about the size of a 9 volt, the battery
Mhm.
pack that they send out for the second, for the 2. By the way, the best thing in the world is traveling. It's just great to be able to look at your phone, check your water situation and go, uh-oh, I'm running.
Yeah.
And I've actually had that happen. I was in Arizona, was able to call back to a gardener friend of mine who stopped by the house and turned off the landscape water because it was going nuts. I had a break in the line,
Mhm.
and I had it taken care of before I got home. But it's a terrific thing to have.
But I think if we really need to understand how many are Flume Ones. Because a lot of the feedback that I see, I experience with Flume One, and I've not experienced it with Flume Two. The battery lasts for me, the battery lasts a long time in Flume Two. I got the first set of batteries and it's never worn out. I was just looking at my app and it was telling me that my battery was still like fully charged. And I'm thinking, wow, that's really lasting a long time.
Mhm.
The first one, I was in there all the time, popping batteries into that thing. And I think I ended up going through 2 of the Flume Ones because it stopped working the way it should have worked. So I think we really need to understand that piece, because I would hate to send them an extra battery pack for a Flume 2 that they have to remember where they stuck.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
Find it later on. If the unit can have 2 back, like those Ring cameras where you can put a battery pack in it, or you can put 2 battery packs in it, right? The ones that are solar powered or you charge up, that's different. But if they only have 1 plug-in for a power pack and we're just sending them an extra battery pack, I do not recommend giving them a battery they're just going to lose. Or maybe need in a year or year and a half. And that battery sat around in their fridge and they're,
Agree.
yeah.
when you had to exchange your unit, Bill, did you run into any hiccups?
No, I mean, I've had a great experience with them with regards to chatting with them, reaching out them. I've thrown them a couple of curveballs on weird readings and things like that. They've calibrated my stuff remotely. But I mean, I am tech savvy, I guess, when it comes to this stuff. So I get it. If a user has the default password on their Wi-Fi and they need to have Best Buy come in to set up their television, they're probably going to have a tough time with something like this.
The one thing I'll just throw out, one other hiccup that I ran into with Flume was when my Flume 1 went south and just quit functioning. I contacted Flume to get a replacement because that was part of the initial agreement that they would provide a replacement. And they said, oh, you're gonna have to give us like $200. And I said, no, part of the initial agreement was that you provide a replacement. Well, we'll do that this time, but we're not gonna do it again after this, when you get the new Flume 2.
Yeah.
So they gave me the Flume 2, but then the first thing they were doing was trying to get you up for like $200. So for a lot of people who may have the Flume 1, if they ran into that when they initially did the purchase, they might say, no.
Sure.
No, we can ask them about this.
So
I mean,
how many Flume 1s are still, when we don't know if they functioned at one time and then they stopped, and so then when they were,
Or they're just sitting in the box and they
Or
haven't
they're-
been
yeah,
used,
but
and
it-
now they're outdated.
but if they were like, yeah, because I had paid for the extra, whatever they call the service, like $50 a year. I was paying for that and it was supposed to cover the replacements. And then they were trying to get me up for the extra 200. I said, no, not for the agreement that we did originally.
Right.
So that may have folks too, that would have put them off.
mhm.
I'm going to need to drop off, unfortunately. I agree with Bill. I don't think providing them an extra battery pack at our cost is advisable unless it were integrated into the box. And
All right.
so,
Thank you, Hayden.
Okay. See you guys later. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Did you get enough feedback from us on?
Yeah, we'll follow up with them and see if they can, we did ask the question of them already, how many are Flume One, and they didn't immediately have the answer, so I'm hoping they'll be able to figure that out.
But to even have them send forward some type of communication,
Mhm.
and us to be able to point towards videos and different things like that. Or if we have somebody who has gone through it enough times and the customer support team that can be the little tech advisor and walk them through, that. We've made an investment. We know it benefits the customer, so I would just hope that we'd be able to get it installed for them.
Mhm.
Okay. Item 15.
Gonna get to answering all of your questions about communicating
Mhm.
with our ratepayers about expectations and
Mhm.
informing them of all the pass-through rate. So for the November issue, we've updated it with an article, what to expect if Measure B passes. Jake, Tracy, and Carlene have all collaborated to give us direction on how we should be informing all of our ratepayers. We're going to be emphasizing the lower costs of imported water,
Mhm.
and address, what our goals were with detachment, reassure, the process and also what to expect to come out of this. We also have a feature on the pass-through rate increase,
Mhm.
and a way for folks to give their feedback at the budget finance workshop coming in January.
Mhm.
There's also going to be a holiday reminder of what not to flush down the drain. We're really going to get into those fats, oils, and greases and the proper way to dispose, and it is not down the drain. There's some creative alternatives of recycling, reusing, and making sure we're not having that enter the water supply, and emphasize the customer service survey. We do have photos of what we found at some of our lift stations that we're going to include. There was mention at our last meeting. Ramona's provided us with some very colorful photos of things that
PG photos.
Yeah.
Good.
that we find, majority of it is hygiene products, wipes, money, jewelry, all those sorts of things that
Shoes.
we eventually do locate and discard of.
All right, as long as it passes when I show this to my mom. Yes, that's good. All right.
Any questions or input on the newsletter?
Now, can we rename pass-through rate increase to say who is?
So you see, this is an actual screenshot of the draft that she has so far on the right. The headline is San Diego County Water Authority rate increase.
There we go.
to
That
expect
is
on your bill.
that is the right term for the rate increase. It's not a pass-through.
I'm not sure that everyone will immediately know what pass-through means and who's the driver of that cost increase.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Let's blame whoever's causing it. Okay.
And the what to expect if Measure B passes, that article does address the timing issue that even if Measure B passes, we're not flipping a switch and January 1, we're suddenly buying from Eastern. We're still going to be purchasing the water from the Water Authority for several months. And then we're going to reevaluate, with next year's budget based on who, whether that's resolved, and we're now writing checks to Eastern.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's just people's memory's short, and this is super complex. So we're going to need to. This is going to be a topic that has to be revisited over and over and over and over and over as we go through. Okay.
And I think the intent too, we were trying to set the stage for some of the things that you were talking about. You see I haven't gone through this yet. I have some comments. I'm just reading it right now.
Sorry, it's already at the printer.
But one of the things we did want to say, there was multiple motivations, I guess, in securing this. One is obviously providing rate relief to our customers, so we don't have to keep passing through. These were 9.5% rate increases which are high. I dug into them a little bit deeper for the first time a week or so ago too, just like where are the increases? How is that? How does that really impact our customers? And really they were overweight on which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but setting rates is a complicated business too. on the variable side. So how much water you use, right? So every unit that they're selling, that's where the cost really rose. San Diego County Water Authority increased it. I think we're probably going to maybe put a little bit of this in here because they're kind of jaw-dropping numbers, to be quite honest. They raised their treated water surcharge. So it's kind of an adder. Both Met and County Water Authority have a similar charge. They raised it from $350 an acre foot to $400 an acre foot. That's a 17% increase. That's huge, right? And that's just every acre foot of water you buy, right? And so that was what it amounted to was over 11% on that variable side. So that total treated water cost rose by more 11.5 or
I think Tracy
11.6.
said it was like 43 cents per unit.
Right. And ours are not going to rise that much. We're not proposing 11.5 or 17% rate increases. We've kind of smoothed those out, at least the proposal right now kind of smooth those out across the rates. And so, but it's still on the variable side, it's 7%, 8%, something like that. Just on that one side, right? The costs on the fixed side are much lower, that they just didn't raise on that side as dramatically as they did on the variable side. So it kind of balances, we have a little, like we always do, right? If you're an average customer, right? 1-inch meter, you use 23 units a month. And those were in about the 6.5% range, something like that. I'm going off memory right now, but Tracy's kind of putting all this together for me, and we're actually going to sit down, and before this goes out, we're going to take one more really hard look at it. And there's only so much we can do. They're passed through, and so we have to pass them through the way our cost of service study said we would. That's kind of what binds us. The law binds us, but I think some of that'll be in here too. Just some of it's dramatic, and I think we talked about this last time, if I remember right. But when I saw that too, that 350 to 400, I mean, Met didn't change their treated water surcharge at all, and they haven't really much for years. It's been about 350 for years and years. Pretty dramatic, because a lot of times that's how people, that's how you start justifying your projects, right? Can I leverage that adder to now build my local supply project or whatever it is? And it's like a toilet bowl, right? You're creating your own problem by making everybody else's projects make sense. But I looked at that. I mean, that's makes me think, oh, maybe we should look at a raw water project, because if I can do treatment for cheaper than $400 an acre foot, it's a savings, right? If I'm a County Water Authority member, of course. But anyway, so that's kind of, and we're gonna hammer away at some of those things in here. Yeah.
Great. Other questions, comments on the November newsletter? Okay.
And in December, we're going to continue on that conversation and follow up on Measure B to make sure that we're keeping the ratepayer informed of the impact, and then kind of focusing on that budget workshop so that we're welcoming their comments.
Okay.
We do want to address the upcoming El Nino season with some flood preparation to prevent planning, giving them guidance on unplug your exterior drains, develop an emergency kit, have an evacuation route. So just in case your street is closed off, there are other pathways for you, and sign up for mobile alerts from all their local agencies, so that if there is some sort of impact in their area, we want them to be readily informed.
Okay.
We're going to give a recap also of our field trip that we're taking next week to give a profile of when we do detach, what is going to be made available to us and the resources there.
It actually comes to us either
It's
way.
already,
Yeah,
it's already coming
okay.
from there. So yeah, either way.
Well, we're going to highlight our board's field trip there and make sure that we're showing them our involvement and how we are using this wonderful resource.
Okay.
And then holiday waste reminders. We're going to continue on the photo feature to remind people, please try not to flush everything and anything down the drain.
Important.
And then drive in our customer service survey.
Got to figure out a way to get a hook in to get people to do that. We gotta give them something.
We've given,
Gotta give
you know,
something.
we've thrown out some ideas, but our hands are kind of tied with incentivizing it with any sort of prize there.
Give them a 2-day early preview of the newsletter. I don't know. We gotta put our thinking caps on. There's a pony in that room somewhere. We just gotta find it. Okay. All right.
January, we're going to be profiling the 70th anniversary, give a history of our logo story from inception to now. Have some photo features of historical photos. And then leak proof your home, the most common leaks and ways to prevent them, you know, things from your faucet leaks, you know, adding that little aerator
Yep,
on there. And some preventative measures. And then once again, our customer service survey.
What about just one? You're entered into it.
Well, yeah, we've talked about that. I think that there could be some, again, we're challenging this team to come up with some ideas. Now, can we do outbound calling specific to the survey? If given we've got our call volume where it's at, can we have the customer service team try to work through the list and do 10 a month, 20 a month, whatever, where we call and say, hi, this is your friendly neighborhood water district and we love you. And we just wondered if you could, we could ask you 5 questions that help us be a better water district and fill it out for them. Get them on the phone.
Josh and I had toyed around with the idea of if we developed some sort of automated email sending to the ratepayer.
No, I'm talking phone call.
Initial call. So we have the call, they've called in, but we want to follow up with a survey to ask them, you know, do you have any unanswered questions? How did we perform? So that we are getting that immediate response from our ratepayers to see if there's any ways that we can fill in the gaps with customer service or whatever.
Do we do like oftentimes businesses, when you call in and ask questions, they say, you know, and if you're gonna have you take a quick survey at the end, and then and you don't really get a chance to say, no, you can hang up once they transfer you. But some people may go ahead and complete
And
that.
do it
At
that
that
way.
point, if you just have a couple things, they can hit the button.
That would probably be.
I think
I'd do that.
that would get
Cold
best.
call could-
Cold call, I don't know.
Well, listen,
If I don't know the number, it goes to spam and I block it.
Yes.
Right, but if it's a phone number that says, this is Rainbow Water District calling, and you know who it is, because let me tell you, at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting the 858, because mine's an 858 number. They're starting to call me about, I have no idea, dialysis, I mean, whatever it happens to be.
For warranty.
So I do the same thing. I'm blocking.
Our survey results go down.
I'm just saying, not at 5 a.m., but
Yeah,
Wait, if you've got caller ID, it's gonna come through as Rainbow Water District, right? Should.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know if the water district's calling me. Maybe there's a turnoff in my neighborhood, you know, whatever. I think we should, if those are friendly calls, right? They're really friendly calls. And if they don't have time, you say, hey, would you do me this favor? When you do have time, could you go to the website and fill out the survey for you? My survey, and if somebody calls me, especially if it's like a doctoral student or whatever, and they, you know, they're like, I need 2 minutes. I only need 2 minutes and it's for your community. It's the water district. Can I just ask you 5 questions? Who's not gonna answer 5 questions over 2 minutes? Be nice. I'm just throwing it out there. Data's good. Okay. Anything else on newsletter content planning? Okay. 16, public communications and related media stories.
You have packets there. We have a lot of news stories here leading up to the election. Most of them local news coverage. We have Axios San Diego, which is the first time I've seen something bring up on there. It's just an overview of the district separation. Ballots being mailed out. KPBS covered that story. The Village News, there was an opinion article on why voters should vote yes on measures A and B. And we have a highlight of the grant, our $1.5 million grant that was in partnership with support from Congressman Issa. 2 features here. The San Diego Union Tribune has an update on the Newsom signing the bill and how it is not going to affect our vote. Times of San Diego, gave also an update on the future vote of our detachment.
I like this, making it tougher for water districts. Tougher, impossible.
County News Center and Village News both covered about the election and drop boxes being open. And here are our election notices. We had a mailing that went out last Friday, and the San Diego Union Tribune notice collection, as well as the Village News. So 3 opportunities there to inform the public about the election coming up on Tuesday.
Okay. I was gonna ask a question. So, our supervisor communicates pretty regularly. If you sign up, you know, on his webpage or whatever, he sends updates out constantly about task force topics, all different types of things. Is there any way to leverage that and get information to his office that could be highlighted or communicated that, you know, relates to our area? And maybe it's a collaboration with FPUD too, or something like that. Just an idea. He you know, he's got a pretty big email list, I would imagine. And I'm sure it gets bigger as you approach you know, voting season. But just another idea. I mean, we put stuff out in the Village News, you know, we do those kinds of things, but I'm just trying to think of other ways that people that are communicating into the district, well, the regional health authority too. I don't know, just different things. I was just thinking of, is there any way, you know, I don't know when it's the right time, what's the right topic, but just another avenue, communications avenue.
That's great. We have a great relationship with Edward's office. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Work on that.
We have a good piece.
Mhm. Maybe our 70th anniversary.
And it would help address the issue that Hayden had mentioned, you know, with our survey about people not being aware of detachment. It could be another avenue to be informing our ratepayers about upcoming issues. You know, it would have been great to have a little feature on, you know, notice of election and things like that. But I think it's a great cost-effective way to drive out our message.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, then next meeting is December 7th. You're not going to be available. Okay. Bill, you gonna be here?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
December.
December.
Pearl Harbor Day.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you all. Appreciate it. We stand adjourned.
Yeah.
Get well, Mr. General Manager.